Have you ever been told to eat more nuts because they're healthy? Well, what if I told you some of the most popular nuts in American kitchens could quietly raise your blood pressure, inflame your joints, and even harm your memory, especially after 65? It sounds shocking, but it's true. New research shows that not all nuts are created equal. And for seniors, choosing the wrong ones could do more harm than good. One nut, yes, just one nut you probably have in your pantry right now, has been linked to cognitive decline, liver toxicity, and even dangerous drug interactions. And yet, it's still marketed as a health food on every shelf. In today's video, we're going to break down the 4 safest, most powerful nuts for seniors, ones that protect your heart, bones, and brain. The 4 nuts to avoid, especially if you're taking medications or managing conditions like diabetes or high blood pressure. And a shocking truth about one popular nut that could quietly be aging you faster than you think. This isn't just another list. This is a science, the why behind it, and how to protect yourself with simple, lasting changes. And if you're over 65 or caring for someone who is, this information could be life-changing. Have you ever felt confused about what's actually good for you? Do you sometimes follow health trends that later turn out to be myths? Backhand index pointing right, let me know in the comments. Have you ever changed your diet and felt the difference? Your story could help someone else watching today. All right, let's dive in. We'll start with the first nut that almost every doctor recommends. But did you know it could be a choking hazard if you're not careful? Here's what you need to know. Almonds are often hailed as a superfood, and in many ways, they truly are. Packed with calcium, vitamin E, and magnesium, almonds seem like the perfect ally for aging bones and hearts. In fact, just a quarter cup of almonds provides nearly 100 milligrams of calcium, something most seniors are told they need more of. And magnesium? That's the mineral that helps calcium go where it's needed, into the bones, not into the arteries. This is vital for people over 65, since artery calcification is a growing concern with age. But here's where the story gets more complicated. The hidden risk. Almonds, especially when eaten whole, can be a serious choking hazard for older adults, particularly those with dentures, dry mouth, or trouble swallowing. In fact, choking on hard foods like nuts is one of the top causes of food-related ER visits for seniors. It's not about fear, it's about awareness. A real-life story. Harold, a 74-year-old grandfather from Ohio, made a point to snack healthy. Every morning, he'd grab a small handful of raw almonds before his walk. One day, while laughing with his granddaughter, he coughed mid-bite and an almond lodged in his throat. Luckily, his daughter was there to help, but it shook the whole family. He didn't stop eating almonds, but he did start soaking them overnight or blending them into almond butter instead. Small change, big difference. So what's the takeaway? Almonds can be an amazing tool in your wellness toolkit, but only if they're consumed wisely. Here's how to make them safer and more effective. Go unsalted and dry roasted to avoid added sodium and unhealthy fats. Soak them overnight to soften the texture for easier chewing and better nutrient absorption. Blend them into smoothies or make homemade almond butter if chewing is difficult. Keep the skin on. That's where the antioxidants like flavonoids live, which combine with vitamin E double the nut's brain protective power. And remember, moderation matters. 15 to 20 almonds a day is plenty. Mini lesson. In health, context matters as much as content. A good food can become risky if not adapted to your needs. And with aging bodies, even healthy choices need a second look. Before we move on, tell me in the comments, how do you usually eat your almonds? Have you ever had trouble chewing certain healthy foods? Your answer might help someone else find a safer option. Next up, we'll explore a nut that looks like the brain and just might protect it. Let's talk about walnuts and their incredible power to support cognitive health. Take a close look at a walnut. It's wrinkled, folded, and even split into 2 halves, just like the human brain. And while it might sound like an old wives' tale, this resemblance is more than coincidence. Modern science now confirms walnuts are one of the best foods for your brain, especially as you age. The science behind the shape. Walnuts are the richest plant-based source of omega-3 fatty acids, specifically alpha-linolenic acid, ELA, a powerful nutrient that supports brain cell structure and communication. And after 65, when cognitive function naturally declines, ALA becomes crucial for memory, focus, and emotional balance. But that's not all. Walnuts are also loaded with polyphenol that cross the blood-brain barrier and fight inflammation in the brain, melatonin, which helps regulate sleep, a major concern for many seniors, and arginine, an amino acid that improves blood flow to the brain. Real-world story. A viewer once wrote in about her father, Larry, age 76. He had been forgetting things, not dangerously, but noticeably. Keys in the fridge, names mixed up, that kind of thing. His doctor suggested more omega-3s, so she added a handful of walnuts to his daily diet. After just a few weeks, she noticed small improvements. He was more alert in conversation. He remembered her birthday without a reminder. And just as importantly, he was sleeping through the night again. So what's the catch? Walnuts have a naturally bitter taste, especially if you're used to sugary snacks. But don't let that put you off. That bitterness? It's the polyphenol doing their job, natural brain protective antioxidants. Here's how to make them easier to enjoy. Pair them with fruit like apple slices or berries to balance the taste. Add them to oatmeal or yogurt where the bitterness softens. Store them in the fridge. Their oils go rancid quickly at room temperature. Quick tip, eat 7 to 9 walnut halves a day. That's all you need. And here's a bonus. Cracking them by hand can actually help keep your fine motor skills sharp. It's brain food and hand therapy in one. Mini lesson. Just like the brain, our health needs constant connection and nourishment. And small habits, like eating walnuts daily, can strengthen that connection one bite at a time. Call to connect. Have you ever noticed a change in your memory, mood, or sleep patterns as you've aged? Drop a comment below. Your experience might help someone else realize they're not alone, and there are ways to feel better. Next, we're moving from brain health to blood pressure and vision protection, with a nut that's much more powerful than people give it credit for. Let's talk about pistachios and why they might be the most underrated nut for seniors. If almonds are known for bones and walnuts for the brain, then pistachios are the quiet achievers, working behind the scenes to support your heart, vision, and even blood sugar. And yet, many people overlook them. Maybe it's because they're harder to crack open. Maybe it's because they don't come with flashy health claims on the label. But if you're over 65, pistachios may be one of the most powerful nuts you can eat. Let's start with the heart. Pistachios are naturally low in sodium and high in potassium, a rare combination that's gold for anyone managing high blood pressure. With around 285 milligrams of potassium per ounce, pistachios help regulate fluid balance and support the kidneys in flushing out excess sodium. This gentle balancing act can lower systolic blood pressure by 3 to 5 points, similar to the effect of some prescription meds, but without the side effects. Now, let's talk about your eyes. Pistachios are packed with 2 carotenoids you may not have heard of, lutein and zeaxanthin. These are essential nutrients for the eyes, and they concentrate in one key area, the macula, which controls sharp, central vision. For adults over 60, the leading cause of vision loss is age-related macular degeneration, AMD. These compounds act like sunglasses for your retina, absorbing harmful light and reducing long-term damage. So yes, these little green gems help you see better and longer. A story from real life. Evelyn, 70, had been struggling with her blood pressure. She didn't like taking too many pills and was always looking for natural support. Her doctor suggested adding potassium-rich foods to her diet. She swapped her afternoon cookies for a small bowl of unsalted pistachios and stuck with it. Within 2 months, her blood pressure stabilized. But she also noticed something unexpected. Her eyes didn't feel as strained after reading, and she wasn't reaching for a magnifier as often. Sometimes, the body gives us quiet thank yous when we treat it right. Why pistachios work so well for seniors. Their soft crunch is easier on teeth and gums than harder nuts. The shelling process slows you down, encouraging mindful eating and preventing over-snacking. They're high in fiber, about 3 g per ounce, which helps regulate blood sugar, a huge benefit for the 25% of seniors who are diabetic or pre-diabetic. And bonus, the vibrant green and purple color isn't just pretty. It's a sign of antioxidants hard at work. Quick tip, go for unsalted or lightly salted pistachios. About 49 kernels per day, roughly 1 ounce, is a perfect serving. If you have arthritis or hand pain, look for half-open ones to make shelling easier. Mini lesson, sometimes the best health habits aren't the loudest. They're the quiet, consistent choices, like pistachios, that help you see, move, and live just a little better every single day. Call to connect. Do you eat pistachios? What's your favorite way to enjoy them? Straight from the shell in a salad, or maybe blended into pesto? Let us know in the comments. You might give someone else a new healthy habit to try. Up next, we're leaving blood pressure behind and heading into hormonal territory, because there's one nut out there that can support your thyroid, your energy, and even your mood, all in a single bite. Let's talk about Brazil nuts and why one is usually enough. It doesn't look like much. It's not flashy. It doesn't have the color of pistachios or the folds of walnuts. But this small, smooth nut, the Brazil nut, may just be one of the most powerful foods a senior can eat, especially if your thyroid has been quietly working against you. Let's start with the science. Brazil nuts are the richest natural source of selenium on the planet. Just one single Brazil nut contains about 96 micrograms of selenium, more than 130% of your recommended daily intake. Why does that matter? Because selenium is essential for healthy thyroid function. It helps convert thyroid hormones into their active form, affecting your metabolism, mood, and energy levels. And here's the problem. Thyroid issues often go undiagnosed in seniors because the symptoms mimic aging itself: fatigue, sluggishness, mood swings, cold hands. But sometimes it's not just age. It's a thyroid crying out for support. A personal story. George, 69, had been feeling off for months. He blamed it on retirement stress or just getting old. He couldn't focus. His energy dipped by lunchtime. His daughter, who was studying nutrition, suggested he ask his doctor about his thyroid. Turns out, George had subclinical hypothyroidism. Instead of reaching immediately for medication, his doctor recommended dietary support, starting with selenium. George began eating just 2 Brazil nuts with breakfast. Within 6 weeks, his blood work improved, and more importantly, he felt like himself again. Sometimes, it's the smallest changes that restore the biggest pieces of our identity, more than just the thyroid. Brazil nuts also help protect nerve cells by supporting myelin, the sheath that preserves reaction time and mental clarity. May help slow telomere shortening, a marker of biological aging. Provide healthy fats and fiber to support digestion and reduce constipation. And here's something fascinating. Selenium from Brazil nuts is organically bonded, meaning it's easier for your body to absorb than most supplements. But here's the catch. More isn't better. Too much selenium can be toxic, causing nausea, hair loss, or even nerve damage. That's why we recommend 1 to 2 Brazil nuts a day, max. Store them in the fridge because their high fat content makes them spoil faster. Whenever possible, buy them with the shell still on for better freshness and nutrient protection. Mini lesson. Sometimes the most important nutrient you're missing comes in the smallest package. The key isn't quantity. It's consistency, moderation, and intention. Call to connect. Have you ever had your thyroid checked? Have you experienced unexplained fatigue or weight changes that turn out to be something more? Drop a comment below. Your story might help someone else take that first step toward feeling like themselves again. Next, we shift from what you should be eating to what you should be avoiding, because unfortunately, not all nuts are safe. And one of America's most beloved snacks? It's not even a nut, and it might be the most dangerous of them all. Let's talk about peanuts and why they're more harmful than you've been told. We love peanuts in America. They're in our trail mix, our candy bars, our peanut butter sandwiches. They're affordable, tasty, and they seem healthy. But here's the first twist. Peanuts aren't even a real nut. They're legumes, like beans and lentils, and that small detail makes a big difference, especially for older adults. The dangers start underground. Because peanuts grow beneath the soil, they're highly vulnerable to mold and fungus, particularly Aspergillus flavus, which produces a toxin called aflatoxin. Aflatoxin is a known carcinogen that's especially harmful to the liver, and unfortunately, the body's ability to detoxify aflatoxins declines with age. Add to that, peanuts are high in omega-6 fatty acids, which fuel inflammation when not balanced with omega-3s. They can interfere with blood-thinning medications like warfarin because of their vitamin K content. And many peanut products, especially peanut butter, are full of added sugars, salt, and hydrogenated oils, making them even more dangerous for aging hearts. Real-life story. Tom, a 72-year-old veteran from Missouri, loved his peanut butter toast every morning. He had no idea it might be part of why his blood pressure stayed high despite his medication. After his doctor ran blood work and dietary reviews, they noticed a pattern. His vitamin K intake was spiking. His meds were less effective. His liver enzymes weren't great. He switched to almond butter for 2 weeks, and suddenly, things started shifting. His pressure lowered, his blood work improved, and most of all, he felt better. Sometimes the problem isn't how much we eat. It's what we eat every single day without thinking. Why this matters more for seniors. As we get older, detox systems slow down, medication use increases, and the margin for error shrinks. Peanuts can sneak into the diet as a comfort food, a taste from childhood. But for many seniors, that comfort comes with invisible costs. How to protect yourself. Choose dry roasted unsalted nuts, but not peanuts. If you love peanut butter, switch to almond butter or sunflower seed butter, with no added sugar or oil. Always store nuts in airtight containers, in the fridge or freezer, to prevent rancidity and mold. Mini lesson: just because something is familiar doesn't mean it's safe. And just because it's popular doesn't mean it's right for your body, especially after 65. Call to connect. Do you still eat peanuts or peanut butter regularly? Have you ever tried switching to another type and noticed a change? Tell us in the comments. Your experience might help others reevaluate what they've always taken for granted. Coming up next, we'll uncover another nut that's secretly spiking blood sugar, and it might be hiding in your healthy snack mix. Let's talk about cashews, and why they may not be as innocent as they look. Cashews are smooth, creamy, and just the right kind of sweet. They feel like a healthier alternative to chips or cookies, especially when you see them labeled as plant-based or heart-friendly. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Cashews can quietly wreak havoc on blood sugar levels, especially in seniors. The carb problem no one talks about. Unlike almonds or walnuts, which are relatively low in carbohydrates, cashews are surprisingly high in carbs, about 9 grams per ounce. They also have a higher glycemic index, which means they raise blood sugar faster and more significantly than other tree nuts. And for the 70% of Americans over 65 who are diabetic or pre-diabetic, that's a big deal. What makes it worse? Cashews are low in fiber compared to other nuts, which reduces their ability to slow glucose absorption. High in oxalates, which can bind to calcium and increase the risk of kidney stones, a concern for older adults with reduced kidney function. Smooth and easy to overeat, often consumed mindlessly by the handful. One of the most common nuts involved in choking or aspiration incidents due to their shape and texture. So while they may look gentle and feel indulgent, they're not always kind to aging bodies. Real life story. Clara, 67, was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes last year. Trying to eat healthier, she swapped desserts for what she called smart snacks, mainly dried fruit and cashew mixes. Her blood sugar stayed stubbornly high, even with medication. A nutritionist finally asked her to track every bite, and there it was, 2 to 3 handfuls of cashews daily. No added sugar, but still doing damage. Once she replaced them with a mix of almonds and pumpkin seeds, her numbers began to level out. No crash, no fog, just a steady climb back toward balance. How to snack smarter. Stick to a 1-ounce portion, about 18 cashews, if you really love them, but not daily. Pair cashews with fiber-rich veggies or healthy fats to blunt the blood sugar spike. Better yet, Replace them with walnuts, pistachios, or chia seeds, all of which offer better blood sugar support. And watch out for salted, honey-roasted, or oil-fried varieties, which add empty calories and inflammation. Many lesson: a food can be natural, plant-based, and still not serve your body. Being mindful, not just what we eat, but how it affects us, is key to aging well. Call to connect. Have you ever been surprised by how your body reacts to something that's marketed as healthy? What's a food you had to let go of? Even if you loved it, share in the comments. We're all learning from each other. And next, we come to one of the richest nuts on the planet. It tastes like butter. It's often called luxurious. But for seniors, it may be too rich for comfort. Let's talk about macadamia nuts and the heavy toll they take on aging bodies. Macadamia nuts are often seen as a treat. Smooth, buttery, luxurious. They're the kind of nut you'd expect at a high-end hotel or in a fancy gift basket. But while macadamias might taste like indulgence for seniors, they may also be a hidden health burden. Because when it comes to aging bodies, too much richness can be too much risk. Let's talk numbers. Just 1 ounce of macadamias, about 10 to 12 nuts, contains over 200 calories, about 22 grams of fat, including nearly 3 grams of saturated fat. They are the most calorie-dense and fat-heavy nut available. And while healthy fats are important, the high concentration of saturated fat can raise LDL bad cholesterol, a concern for the many seniors already managing heart disease or high blood pressure. Why macadamias are tricky for older adults. Their dense texture can be difficult to chew, especially for those with crowns, bridges, or weak enamel. Their high fat content can strain the gallbladder, especially in individuals with undiagnosed gallstones, something common in seniors. And due to their richness, they're easy to overeat. Just a few can quickly exceed your ideal fat intake for the day. Plus, let's not forget, they're expensive. And many budget-conscious seniors may turn to cheaper, lower-quality versions that are salted, oil-roasted, or improperly stored, increasing the risk of consuming oxidized fats, which fuel inflammation. A true story to consider. Martha, 73, loved to treat herself in the evenings with a small bowl of mixed nuts. Her favorite? Macadamias. She wasn't eating them in huge amounts, but still, she noticed her digestion felt heavier, her cholesterol kept creeping up, and her doctor kept adjusting her statins. After working with a dietitian, she discovered that the macadamias, though few, were pushing her fat intake too high, too fast. She switched to pistachios and added more veggies to her snacks. Her cholesterol improved, her digestion lightened up, and perhaps most importantly, she didn't feel so sluggish after snacking. Better alternatives. If you enjoy that creamy texture, try pistachios for a lighter crunch, lower fat, and added eye protection. Walnuts for brain support and anti-inflammatory omega-3s. Or mix a small amount of macadamias with higher fiber nuts to slow absorption and reduce overall intake. Moderation is key, but for many, substitution is smarter. Many lesson: a treat is only a treat when it nourishes, not drains. And what feels indulgent now might silently be overworking your heart, your liver, or your gallbladder. You deserve to feel light, not weighed down, especially as you age. Call to connect. Have you ever eaten a food that made you feel heavy afterward, even if it was considered healthy? Tell us in the comments. Your experience might help someone make a smarter choice today. Up next, we're looking at a nut that's small, slick, and sometimes part of your favorite pasta sauce. But it could be interfering with your medications, harming your appetite, and even accelerating age-related vision loss. Let's talk about pine nuts and the quiet risks they bring for older adults. They're small, they're mild in flavor, and they're often tucked into gourmet dishes like pesto or Mediterranean salads. But pine nuts, despite their delicate appearance, can cause surprisingly serious disruptions in the lives of older adults. The first concern: medication interference. Pine nuts may look innocent, but they contain compounds that can interact with a wide range of prescription medications, particularly statins used for cholesterol, blood pressure meds, antidepressants. And considering that over 60% of seniors are on multiple medications, even subtle interactions can lead to side effects or reduce drug effectiveness. Yet most doctors and pharmacists don't warn about pine nut interactions because food-drug interactions are often overlooked unless they're dramatic. The pine mouth phenomenon. Some people experience something called pine mouth syndrome, a metallic, bitter taste in the mouth that starts 1 to 3 days after eating pine nuts and can last for up to 2 weeks. For younger people, it's annoying, but for seniors, this lingering taste can reduce appetite, disrupt the enjoyment of food, lead to weight loss and undernutrition, especially dangerous for already fragile bodies. And older adults are more susceptible because age-related changes in taste receptors and detox pathways make their bodies less able to clear the compounds efficiently. Real-life example. Doris, 75, began using a pine nut pesto on her toast and steamed veggies. Within days, she noticed everything tasted metallic, like aluminum foil. Her appetite dropped. She started skipping meals. She thought it was a side effect of her medication, but her doctor couldn't find the cause. It wasn't until she mentioned the pesto to her dietitian that the puzzle clicked. 2 weeks off pine nuts, and her appetite returned, along with her energy. More risks you should know. High in polyunsaturated fats, oxidize quickly, especially if not stored properly, increase inflammation. Their small size and slick texture make them an aspiration risk for seniors with dry mouth or swallowing issues. Emerging research suggests that certain pine nut compounds may accelerate macular degeneration, the leading cause of vision loss in older adults. How to protect yourself. If you enjoy pesto, consider walnut or almond-based versions instead. Always store pine nuts in the fridge or freezer to prevent oxidation. Be cautious if you notice taste changes after eating them. It may not be in your head. Mini lesson. Not every gourmet food is gentle, and not every small food is harmless. As we age, being aware of subtle shifts like taste, mood, or hunger can be the key to catching something much bigger. Call to connect. Have you ever noticed strange taste changes after eating something, like metallic flavors or food tasting off? Share your experience in the comments. Someone else might be going through the same thing and not even realize why. And now, let's tie it all together. In our final section, we'll review the most important lessons from today's video and give you clear, practical guidance to make better choices starting now. Let's move on to number 10, the Nut Rule Book. Smart choices for a sharper, stronger you. We've talked a lot today about calcium and cholesterol, omega-3s and oxidation, choking hazards and hidden sugars. But now it's time to step back, take a breath, and ask the bigger question. So what do I actually do with all this information? Because knowledge is only powerful when it becomes action. Here are the 4 nut rules to live by after 65. White heavy checkmark rule number 1. Choose function over flavor. Not every delicious nut loves you back. Macadamias might taste luxurious, but their fat content could strain your gallbladder. Cashews feel smooth and comforting, but your blood sugar might disagree. Instead, choose nuts that do something for your body. Almonds for bone support. Walnuts for brain health. Pistachios for blood pressure and eyes. Brazil nuts for thyroid and energy. White heavy checkmark rule number 2. Don't let marketing make your meals. Just because it's labeled natural or heart healthy doesn't mean it's right for you. Peanuts, for example, are everywhere, but they're not even nuts, and their risks from aflatoxins to medication interference are rarely discussed. Instead of following labels, follow what you've learned today. Follow your body. White heavy checkmark rule number 3. Watch how much and how you eat it. Even the best nuts can become a problem in excess. Too many Brazil nuts? Selenium toxicity. Too many almonds? Digestive issues or choking risk. Practice portion control. 15 to 20 almonds. 7 to 9 walnut halves. 49 pistachios. 1 to 2 Brazil nuts. And prepare them in ways your body can actually handle. Soaked, chopped, ground, or blended if needed. White heavy checkmark rule number 4. Tune into your body. If something feels off, taste changes, fatigue after snacking, sluggish digestion, don't ignore it. Doris's pine nut pesto changed how everything tasted. George's 2 Brazil nuts a day help restore his energy. Martha swapped macadamias for pistachios and felt lighter. Small changes. big difference. A final story. One of our viewers, Paul, age 70, wrote to us recently. I used to think healthy eating was about willpower. Now I realize it's about awareness. It's not just what you eat, but how it loves you back. That's what this entire video is about. Learning to listen gently to what your body needs and giving it the quiet power it deserves. Many lesson. At this stage of life, your time and energy are too valuable to waste on foods that don't serve you. Let your food be your medicine and your ally. Call to connect. What nut surprised you the most today? Are there any you'll be adding or removing from your routine? Tell us in the comments. You never know who your story might inspire. If this video helped you, please subscribe, and share it with someone you care about, because good health is even better when it's shared. Thank you for spending this time with us. And remember, it's never too late to make one small change and live a longer, stronger life because of it.